Alrighty, folks, we got the boys from Convoy Home Loans with us. We're going to have a conversation a little bit about 2025, which I think in the mortgage market is going to be the time of separation. I think 2025, we're going to see a lot of the B and C players, frankly, disappear. We're going to see the A players get even stronger. And that is going to be in a market where transactions are down. So we're going to see a clear separation. But what I want to do here, given it's the first week, actually the second day of 2025, is talk to Dustin and Jonathan about 24 and see how 24 was to 23. Guys, thank you for doing this. What's going on?
Yeah, not too much. Me and we right before the show, we told you, or I told you, that me and John on New Year's Eve just kind of compiled the books to see where we were at in 24 versus 23, and had some numbers that I thought would be interesting to share with the audience. And once again, this is little caveat. It's for Convoy's business only,
Yeah.
right? This
So
isn't
you're,
the entire mortgage industry, and taking it with a little bit of a grain of salt, because our focus, as you guys know, is mainly investors. So a lot of these numbers are going to pertain to investment property loans and whatnot. So, John, you want to start with one of these 9, 10 bullet points we got?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing that we've seen year over year that's been interesting is we've seen about a 12% increase in just refinances in general, right? Rates have kind of been about the same-ish, right? But average-wise, but we've still seen an increase in refis. So we'll dive a little more into the difference between the two, rate and term versus cash out. But overall sense, 12% increase in refinances from 12.
Now it's interesting, as if again we remember what Dustin said, this is an orientation towards investors. Again, what it tells me, just looking from the outside, is frankly probably the real estate market slowed down. No duh. Why do I say that? Because refis are up. There were probably a bunch of flippers or burrs or whatever who had what I'll call extremely short-term money, that the exit, their planned exit didn't occur. So they were forced or had to get into a refi to bring down the cost of capital to basically buy them time. Is that reasonable, or am I stretching?
No, the bullet point was like 6 bullet points down that we were going to bring up that addresses your topic here, but we can just get to it. Which we thought was actually the biggest increase we saw, which was on our bridge to sale product. So it's the situation you brought up, where somebody just needs more time, or an investor needs more time to either sell or decide if they want to just refi and hold long term, right? So we saw a 32% increase in our bridge to sale product, or just a bridge refi, right?
So just so I know, bridge to sell would be categorized in that first number. It'd be part of the refi.
Correct.
32% increase. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes, and I think we should talk about that more, because I don't know that there's a lot of lenders out there that kind of focus on that area. Again, Convoy being very much investor friendly, it's not shocking that that's a popular product of yours. So, wow, 32%. That's even higher than I would have guessed. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of investors that started projects, because most bridge loans are 6 to 12 to 18 months, right? So most people that started hoping for a better rate environment, better market in the later half of the year, right? As the year kind of rolled over, we were seeing more of those kind of kick in. So, the 6-month term, bridge loans that, hey, I've had it listed for 2 months, hasn't sold yet, I need more time to sell it. Or if you're doing, a lot of clients are in the 12-month, 18-month mark, and they're like, hey, I really don't think that I'm going to have it sold in the next 2 to 3 months going into the new year, or at ending off the year. So can I get an extension on that, but maybe be able to pull some cash out at the same time to continue to invest and not go too far out, because we'll probably only lend out 75% of the loan to value based on the as is value. But given that, hey, I bought it for 150, put 100 into it, and now it's worth 500, let me pull out some of that equity so I can continue to do what I'm going to do.
Got it.
And then keep that thing listed on the market. And then obviously all we really see coming, I saw in one market we issued a bridge to sale, there was 30 listings of the same type of property, and it kept dropping like month over month. Every month was down by like, a few thousand. It's kind of a race to the bottom right now.
Yeah.
Markets. Yeah.
Okay. Very, very cool. What's the next one?
Next one that I think we can kind of piggyback off of, which falls under the increase in refis we saw, was a 14% increase in cash out refis. This is also something that I think pertains to just what John said going into 2024. A lot of investors thought they may have been able to sell, but then they realized that, okay, I'm going to hold this and at least get some of my cash out from the money I put into the project so I can continue doing what I'm doing. And it made me think. I have one pretty big client that does a lot of luxury stuff in Miami, and he had like 5 or 6 bridge to sales that we did for him because his plan was to obviously sell them, but to continue doing it. He's constantly working on 10 different projects. And if he didn't sell those properties or do the bridge to sales that we did for him, he couldn't have bought any more properties.
Yeah, he'd have been tapped out.
Yeah, the cash out refis and the bridge to sales definitely all play into why we saw kind of a, for 2024 to see a 12% increase in refis. I don't think most mortgage companies could say that.
No, I don't think so. And again, when we're talking cash out refis, I mean, my initial reaction is to kind of pull back from that. But that's because I deal with a lot of kind of owner occupant, real estate agent. And that's a market I focus on a lot. I'm hoping that, people aren't doing cash out refis and get rid of a 2.9% first and, now getting an 8% mortgage. I hope there's not a lot of those, but that's, again, not where you guys play. So makes total sense.
I'd love to know that number, just side note, but yeah, that's not where we play.
Yeah, totally cool. All right, Jonathan, what's the next one you got?
Next one we have is the increase in purchases. So purchases still, I think year over year did go up. We saw about a 3% increase in purchases across the board. And if you go back into our videos, actually the last year I was thinking about this, but we were, every single time we were talking about the surges in purchases and like how people are kind of getting fed up with waiting for the market. So I think that's what led to the increase, but it wasn't like a jump, like a crazy jump where it's like all of a sudden 50% increases year over year. We've kind of seeing an increase in purchases across the board just because people are fed up and not necessarily because people are hopefully buying out of desperation, right?
Yeah. If you have this data, great. If not, no big deal. But because you again, you guys focus on investors, but you obviously do owner occupant loans as well, right? If business comes to you, you'll take it. It would be interesting if you look at that purchase data one level deeper, if you had it, owner occ versus investor purchases. I don't know if you have that data or not, but I'm going to guess your investor demand is up a lot more than 3%. I think you probably saw a drop off in owner occs, but that's just a wild ass guess.
We did not pull that data. We should have, and we wanted to compare just the amount of owner occ transactions, which we did, which we do have, but we saw a decrease by 8% in
See, there you go.
occ transactions. That'll tell you a little bit about the refi or purchase increase that we saw.
Well, I think you answered the question.
Yeah.
Your purchase demand, you just told me, was up 3%, which is everybody. But your owner occ demand is down 8%. That means your investor demand, just by simple logic, had to be up, I don't know, 11% or something bigger than that. So I think your focus on investors' purchase demand is much better than the 3% look, which makes total sense. We've been talking about a buyer's market since about September. And every week we're like, yep, people are doing it. People are doing it. They're no more hoping for 5s or 6s. They're writing disrespectful offers. They're getting discounts. They're getting credits. The last 90 days, I've seen in my community investors being more aggressive. And that's only going to continue in the first half. So I expect Convoy's numbers in the first half to just blow the water out, where if you're just an owner occ lender, you're going to be in trouble, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, we John and I are on the front lines, right, and on the back lines. So when we say that we have a bunch of conversations, it is directly with clients like yourselves watching these shows. And just from the conversations we've had in November and December, how many people have told us, John, that they want to wait until the new year? Right? Like there's so many people that are like just waiting for the new year to happen, get their ducks in a row. And you know, I think hopefully, knock on wood, that January Q1, et cetera, will definitely be a big turning point for Convoy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just look at the numbers too, though, if they are waiting for the new year, for some reason, people think that there's a magical switch that happens once the new year comes around. But sorry, New Year's fell on a Wednesday this
Yeah.
year, and we're still on the same week as December of last year. So technically, we're still in the same week. I don't know if next excuse is going to be let's wait another 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Taxes. We're gonna wait for taxes.
Yeah, but if you look at the rates today, rates are up today. They're worse today than they were in December. So, all the people that were like, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I keep telling my clients, like, and I mean this in the least offensive way. If you're just
You mean it the least of
yeah, I tell them, if you're waiting for rates to drop, then you are essentially just shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
You're just pulling, you just have your trigger like waiting, and then eventually it'll pull off and you'll be like, crap, I should have done this early. So
Yeah, I really, dude, I don't see anything that would bring rates down in the short term. It's just you know what, folks? Write better offers. Stop being stupid. Write better offers. That's what I got to tell you. All right, what's
Love it.
next?
Let's go with a decrease, and I think it was our only decrease actually, but that's good.
Yeah, we don't like decrease. Decrease is bad.
This one was pretty shocking, but from being in it month over month, we noticed for sure. But we had a 26% decrease in second position loans or HELOCs.
Interesting.
So, I think it was kind of a hot product. It was kind of your sexy product, if you will, in 2023, because that's when it really rolled out as kind of Q1 with the second position DSCR, second position bank statement. HELOCs were pumping on advertisements. Every lender was pumping, HELOC ads and blast emails. But, in 2024, we can make a conclusion that maybe a lot of people were only looking for either a small amount, but let's just say a larger amount, where now it made sense to actually do a first rather than, a first with the second. Because you do a large second or large equity pullout from the second, it's going to a lot of times with the blended interest make better sense just to do a first.
I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I think 2023, it was like the only product that made sense. It was net new. It was heavily pushed, right? Because everybody was still thinking rates were going to go back sub 5, if we remember 23. And today, people have been waiting so long, their equity positions grew, and they're like, well, I'll just do the whole thing. I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and I think the size of them actually pulling out, people are wanting to pull out more now than they did previously.
That's right.
We I think I talked about this like a month ago, but I had a client that we were talking about who was like, hey, I don't want to be in the same position I was 2 years ago and 3 years ago when DSCR almost fell out of the market.
Yeah.
I'd rather take advantage of the product right now while it's here. And I know my rates are kind of lower right now, but I would rather use that. All I need to do is make more than a 7% return on the money that I'm taking out.
Yep.
I'm going to be okay. So he's kind of shifted his entire gear to, I'm just going to cash out as many properties as possible to take advantage of the product while it's there so that I can continue to invest and write the aggressive offers. Because you can't write the aggressive offers without the liquidity. So
I love that. Makes total sense. Yeah. And if your hurdle rate's 7%, again, investors, like homeowners here, 7%. And as we saw in the mortgage data today, it goes nowhere, down like 30% or something week on week. Investors are like, okay, great. My hurdle rate's 7. That means I got to write offers that make 9, 10, 11. We just think different. So I think that's very strategic. Go get a fixed capital at 7 and then go earn 10, 11, 12. Makes total sense.
Yep. Moving on then, the next one is, we'll do a short-term one because we talked about bridge to sale a little earlier, but bridge purchases, which includes like budgets, construction kind of thing. But for an 18% increase in bridge purchases, so with rehab short-term purchases, and then a 6% year-over-year increase in ground-up construction. So
interesting.
Construction loans that have, buy the land, build new buildings on it,
Mm-hmm.
up 6, and bridge is basically there's already a structure there. You're rehabbing it. You're doing value add, using the ARV, getting the ARV afterwards, putting less down, kind of doing that thing is up 18.
So just so I know where this would fall, let's assume you got a house and you're adding an ADU. So the ADU would technically be ground up, but would you categorize that as value add because the main structure is already there?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so that'd be value add. Okay.
Yeah, correct. Because the valuation and that's a great question actually, because a lot of clients have been asking about this. The amount of value that you're adding for an ADU, right? It has to be one comps and with ADUs around the area, right? To increase that value. Actually, just because you add another structure doesn't mean that your value goes up by 500 grand, right?
Right.
So because they won't treat a single family plus an ADU as a duplex. They're going to treat it as a single family, a 1+1, right?
Yep.
So in terms of like adding that structure, it's yes, or building it up from ground up, but it's not necessarily ground up construction because you're doing the value add based on the percentage of value increase that you'll have by adding that structure in there.
Yeah, well, it makes total sense why that's up 18%. I know there are markets in Southern California where you guys are just legends. Like San Diego comes to mind. I have somebody in my community that's doing ADU development in San Diego. Their numbers, this is just what they told me, is their cost to build is about 350 to 400. But given there's so many comparables now in the area of San Diego, he's getting a value in value of $800 a square foot. So hello, let's go build some ADUs.
Yeah.
That's easy money right there.
100%.
Yeah. All right. What do you got next? This is fun.
I think this is our last one. Correct me if I'm wrong, John, but this one I think is a great kind of recap on consumer investor sentiment in 23 versus 24. We saw a 32% increase in the loans that we wrote that had discount points, so buying down the rate in 2024 compared to 2023. Now I think a majority of them were maybe towards the end of 2024, but my mind and John's mind immediately thought, well, look, investors in 2023 thought rates were going to come lower. I'm not going to pay the discount points. Let's ride it out and I'll refi when I can in 2 years and not pay the points. Sentiment kind of changed the last quarter of the year in 2024, where it's like, you know what? I'll pay as much as I'm allowed to, and I'll lock this in for as long as I need to and not worry about it.
Yeah, 2023, some of the stupidest statements I've ever heard. Marry the house, date the rate. That did not turn out well. Dude, we've been saying for years now, the three of us have been saying, if you like it, lock it. This whole gambling on interest rates just never made sense to me.
It's hopium, right? I mean, and real estate agents will use, especially on the owner occupied side, right? Sometimes investors, they'll use hopium to get their clients to buy, right? And that's why we've lost deals telling clients, hey, like, this doesn't make sense. They'll get it done somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we'll tell them, hey, it doesn't make sense, at least for us to feel better, you know?
Yeah.
But the market itself has shifted significantly to the point where now we're telling clients, if it makes enough of a dollar difference. Again, it's case by case, right? A lot of listeners like to say, you guys said this on the channel, it must be what it is across the board. So why is my scenario the same? I tell them, hey, it's case by case, because discount points and rates really only affect in a major way loan amounts that are larger, not as much loan amounts that are smaller. Unless you're planning 100% sure that you're going to keep that loan for the full 30-year period and never cash out, do nothing, then in most cases, what your effect is you have to look at like a 5 to 10 year window, right? So we kind of coach the clients that way, but obviously they're looking at the actual rate number, and I always tell clients that, hey, if the rate itself you're going to forget about after the loan closes. Mm-hmm. The only thing you're going to be worried about is the monthly payment, which is the truth, right? So look at the payment, make sure that makes sense, make sure it cash flows the way that you want it to. And then the rate side, as long as it cash flows and the payments here, I think you had a guess that you told us like he'd do a 60-year loan or a 100-year loan if he could, right? It's the payment side on the cash flow. It depends on what the priority is. So I think that's where we try to focus a lot of clients on, and why we've seen, I think, an increase in the amount of discount points just across the board, because clients are just saying, hey, forget about it. I'm not waiting. And we had that blip, which a lot of people missed because they were thinking that rates were going to go even lower, Dustin. If you remember this time, we did like 75 million or something of 5.25, 5.5 rate loans on DSCR, right?
Yes.
And if you got in that blip and you just kind of trusted us and you were like, I'm doing it, I'm committing 2 points, 3 points, whatever it is, I'm just going to do it, lock it in and forget about it. Those people won, right?
Oh, they did big time.
Anyone that waited a week longer, 2 weeks longer, saying, I think rates are going to go lower as Trump is elected, yada, yada, yada. Those people are the people that are now kind of kicking themselves, again, that shooting themselves in the foot. That trigger is gone off, and they're like, crap, I should have done it. When I spoke to you guys 3.5 months ago or 3 months ago, when you were telling me, hey, this is good.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think 2025 is going to prove to be pretty painful. I think we're going to see that final washout of small shops that just aren't aggressive, aren't servicing a need. Convoy Home Loans is going to dominate, probably grow market share because your focus is investors, but you also support owner-occs. Again, where do they go, Jonathan?
Go to convoyhomeloans.com and let us know you came from ORAT.
Yep, folks, there's a little drop-down window that says, how'd you hear from us? Just go there, click ORAT. And again, please do that. If you do that, you get one of these two fine gentlemen. Otherwise, you get that other set of people, and you don't want those other set of people. Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.